Let's make sure that you are on the review side and not the assignment side of your review paper. So this is a review on circles, and we're going to start off by naming the circle. And so if you'll remember how to name the circle, that is, you can either write the word and the capital letter of the center, or you can just draw the symbol, which is a circle and a dot in the middle, and the capital letter H. The diameter, there's only one diameter here, and it has to be capital letters, J, G, with a line segment over the top. But your option is that there is no, beginning, or neither one of them. The J or the G can come first, that doesn't matter. There are 3 radii, and again, you can state them forwards or backwards, so you can start with the center or not. So like H, J, and HF, and HG, or, of course, you can do it the other way around. GH, FH, JH. Number 2 is to write the formula for the circumference of a circle. Now there are 2. Do you remember both? Circumference equals pi times diameter. Or, now remember that diameter is all the way across, just like we showed in letter B. And 2 radii will give us the same thing, so circumference equals pi times 2 times the radius. So you can use either one, but the one I prefer to use is the diameter one. But if they give you radius, of course, you can just multiply it by 2 and then multiply it by pi. And today, of course, we'll be using, just like always, 3.14 when we're actually calculating an answer. So that will be number 3. Calculate the diameter of circle J if the circumference is, well, this is starting us off with a hard one. Like, they didn't even let us start off with finding the circumference. Well, we need that formula, and it's always a safe thing to write it down first. Circumference equals pi times diameter. But since they've given us the circumference, we're going to replace C with 100.48 equals, and now we're going to need some actual numbers. So again, we're going to use 3.14 for pi, and we're going to use the letter D because we are solving for the diameter. At this point, we need to do inverse operation and divide both sides by 3.14. 100.48 divided by 3.14. And you guys should be doing it, of course, on your own calculators. See if you can get the same thing I get. And I get 32. Now, they said centimeters in the problem, so I'm going to say 32 centimeters equals the diameter. And now, B says calculate the circumference of a circle if the radius is 7. So we're giving us radius, and we're trying to find circumference. So this time, I might go ahead and use circumference equals pi times 2 times the radius. So circumference equals 3.14 times 2 times 7. So we let our calculator do that. 3.14 times 2 times 7. So 43.96. Circumference equals 43.96 meters. So now Brianna ran 6 laps around a circular track with a diameter of 120 feet. How far did she run total? So really what we need to do is find the circumference and then multiply it by 6. And they gave us diameter, so I'm going to use C equals pi times diameter. So C equals 3.14 times 120. 376.8 feet, and then times it by 6. So 2,260.8. feet. That's how many feet she ran. Just out of curiosity, do you remember how many feet are in a mile? How does this distance relate to a mile? Well, if you remember, it's 5,280 feet. So we are more than 3,000 feet less than. So it wasn't even half a mile. Next is to write the formula for the area of a circle. Area equals pi times r squared. One of the ways that I encourage you to write it, because so many of you, when you squared it, instead of squaring it, you multiplied it by 2, is to write pi times radius, because that's what r squared means. So now it's going to ask us to calculate the area of circle X if the diameter is 13 inches. Now here we don't have an option for diameter, so we must divide it by 2. Radius equals diameter divided by 2. So radius equals 13 divided by 2. And that equals 6.5 inches. So area equals pi times r times r. So 3.14 times 6.5 times 6.5. So we type that into our calculator. And does it ask us to round to the nearest hundredth? Oh, clear up here at the very top. And that's the directions for the entire worksheet. So round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. My answer is 132.665. So I'm going to round that to 132.67 inches. All right, number 7. A round garden has a circumference of 15.7 feet. Calculate the area of the garden. Well, this is where we're going to have to do 2 sets of ideas. First of all, we need radius. In order to find the area, we need radius, and we have circumference. So since circumference equals pi times 2 times radius, I replace circumference with 15.7 equals 3.14 times 2 times the radius. So 3.14 times 2. So 15.7 equals 6.28 r. And now to solve for the radius, I divide both sides by 6.28. So 15.7 divided by 6.28, 2.5. And that's going to be feet. Equals the radius. And now I can use that with area equals pi times radius times radius. So 3.14 times 2.5 times 2.5. So 19.625, again, we have 3 decimal places. We only want 2, so we're going to round that to 19.63. Now remember that area is in square units, so we're going to put SQ FT. Remember that another acceptable way to write this answer would be 19.63 FT with a little 2 up there. But I prefer the SQ FT. All right, just a few more. So, number 8, a circle with radius r is inscribed. That just means inside with these points touching. And that's going to become important in a minute. Inside a square with a side length s. Okay, but now they're going to tell us s equals 10. So I know that this length from here to there is 10. Also from the top to the bottom to the top, and then left, right, left, top, bottom again. All the way around, it's 10 millimeters. And the radius is 5. Well, and it says calculate the area of the shaded region. So remember, this is where we said, okay, I want the square minus the area of the circle, because that's what's left over shaded, is if I had the whole square, and then if I cut out the circle. So I find those two areas and I subtract them. So I know the area of a square, it's a rectangle, so base times height, or length times width, or even there's a specific formula for a square, which is just one side squared. Either way you do it, this is going to be 10 times 10. So the area of the square is 100 square millimeters. And the area of the circle, oh, and usually in the front of these, I put a little square to remind me which one is which. So now the circle area is pi times radius times radius. So 3.14, and the radius is 5. So the circle area is going to be 78.5 square millimeters. And so now I subtract them. I go back up to the top here and I go, well, this is 100 minus 78.5. And that equals 21.5. Still can't do it. 21.5 square millimeters. And I like to put the SQ, but since I'm out of room, I'm going to use the shorter hand. So 21.5 square millimeters. All right, number 9. Calculate the area of the circle. Now see, they give us no information. It just says that the rectangle is inscribed in the circle. Inscribed means that these points, whether or not they look like it, are touching the circle. That's important because that means that this diagonal that they gave us of the rectangle is the diameter of the circle. So I know that the diameter equals 5 meters. But since it wants area, I'm going to cut that in half, right? Because radius equals the diameter divided by 2. So I want 5 divided by 2. So the radius equals 2.5. So area equals 3.14 times the radius, which is 2.5 times 2.5. This sounds very familiar. Where was that 2.5? Oh, there it is right there, right above it. So this makes it really easy. I don't have to show a whole lot of work. I mean, I still want to show what that I know what to multiply by, but I don't have to do it on my calculator again because it was 19 point, it was actually 625. Now I don't want to round it yet. You should never round your answer until your answer. So this is not my answer because I can see that down here on letter C, I want to calculate the area of the shaded region. So I'm going to leave that for now, and this is square meters. And now calculate the area of the rectangle. Well, that's easy because we know that the area of a rectangle is base times height, and the base is 4 and the height is 3, so that's 12 square meters. And now for part C, the area of the shaded region. So that's going to be the circle this time minus the rectangle. Before, over in number 8, it was the square minus the circle. Now it's the circle minus the rectangle. So that's the 19.625 minus 12. Well, that equals 7.625. So rounding it again, I guess I could have just used the 7.63 square meters. Number 10. Oh yeah, this is the whole pizza. Which is the better buy maybe? The advertised size of a pizza is the length of its diameter. So size of pizza, diameter. What is the area of an 18-inch pizza? Well, we know that we need radius. So radius, since it's diameter divided by 2, is going to be 18 divided by 2, which is 9 inches. So area equals pi times radius, which is 3.14 times 9 times 9. So this area is 3.14 times 9, and that's 254.34. And that would be square inches. If an, that probably should say, if an 18-inch pizza costs $9.75 and is cut into 10 slices, what is the cost per slice? Well, that's just the cost. You know, it says it right here. Hey, look, there's our friend per. So we know that we're going to do cost divided by number of slices. So in this case, it's the 9.75 divided by 10. Well, that equals $0.975 per slice, which, if we're going to round it, is 98 cents per slice, but really 97.5 cents. So I don't know. Well, it did say round to the nearest hundredth, so let's go with, okay, that's approximately 98 cents per slice. But letter C asks, what's the cost per square inch? So this is where we needed the area. Now again, it's cost per square inch. So that means I need to divide the cost by the square inches. And the cost is still the 9.75. And I need to divide that by the area, which is the 254.34. And remember how a lot of you guys didn't want to do this because you're uncomfortable dividing the smaller number by the larger number. But that's what it needs you to do. 975 divided by 254.34. So we get this very small number, 0.0383345, and it keeps going from there. So if we're rounding it to the nearest penny, it's approximately 4 cents per square inch. So that should be enough for you guys to kind of remember what we did. Here's the whole looking thing. And now it's your turn to do it on the front side, so that's your assignment.